Right, hi everybody. I'm on the phone now with Jono Coleman, post-race at Le Mans. Jono, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks Nick. Back, I would say enjoying the British weather, but slightly overcast today, but there we go.
Yeah, it's still spring-like, isn't it? Should be summer, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, I think, still, I'm not sure it's much better than Le Mans anyway, or worse, for that matter.
Yeah. I mean, it was some of the conditions down there were quite challenging, but I mean, first of all, the big highlights. I mean, you guys ran as high as 30th out of a grid of 60. You completed 328 laps and came home 33rd overall and 14th in class. You must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's always one of those things. You always want more, but as when we spoke before the race, we knew when some of the changes that happened in the team. We always knew it was going to be a difficult race. And at that point, really, the focus was on finishing, as we said at the start. So the fact we've done that really was mission accomplished.
Yeah, and I mean, you completed that in some certainly pretty difficult conditions leading up to the race. And in fact, the start, which I think Vincent took, was very mixed conditions.
Yeah, no, it was. It wasn't. Certainly it wasn't the sort of normal. Vincent being a local, he's been saying that their summer there has been very poor for them. But we, through practice and qualifying, their conditions were constantly changing. I think on one of the sessions, I think it was maybe the Wednesday practice, I had 4 short runs, and it was I think slicks inters or vice versa, and it was trying to get to know the car and the track. It just made it difficult, and also we had a change of engineer between the test and the race, and for him to try and set the car up and make some progress with it was possible for him as well. So we really went into the race a bit blind, really, and as well we took a penalty because Eric had only done his laps in the wet, so he fell outside of the lap time rule, and we went to the back, which given the way the conditions were, was a bit unlucky, but as we know, rules are rules, so that was that.
Yeah, that seemed a particularly cruel decision, but you weren't alone at the back either. I think there were a number that fell foul of that particular rule.
Yeah, no, as you say, Nick, it was we weren't alone, and the rules there, and if you fall outside of it, that's what you got to cop. So that's where we found ourselves.
I saw. Vincent Capillier, he took the start in very wet conditions behind the safety car. Things did seem to. Sorry, go on.
It was quite interesting because I'm not sure. I read an article the other day with the Autosport, and they were sort of inferring that it was scandalous the start behind the safety car. But I've got to say, being there and being an investor in the car and the race, for me, I thought it was 100% the right decision that Eduardo and his team took to start the race under the safety car, because it won the start of a 24-hour race, people have put a lot of money into it, and he wants everybody to have a go. So, I think the fact he took those steps, from a spectator's point of view, I can understand people having a grumble, but it's you've got to get the race off on a safe footing and getting everybody a go. So I think it was a sensible decision, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's easy to criticise from the sidelines, but I assume Eduardo has two-way communication with some of the drivers, and I expect that he was getting messages as to the conditions. I recall actually Nick Heidfeld was very clear on how he felt about things. In fact, I think the rebellion came in and they changed drivers because he was so unhappy with the conditions.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but
yeah. And the nature of the Le Mans circuit, I expect, means that once Eduardo has to make a decision by a particular point, which actually means that it's a decision that is going to last for like 10 minutes of running, which, again, makes it look, but 24-hour race, better to be overcautious, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's easy to sit on the side and, criticise these decisions, but, he's thinking about the bigger picture, I think, and I totally think he made the right decision there.
Yeah. So, in terms of the engineering changes and so on the car, was there anything during the race that you could do to improve the feel and the setup on the car? Did it change much?
No, I mean, we just concentrated on, getting through the race, really, which the balance of the car was far from ideal because it was unstable on the braking and then, oversteer and poor traction on the exit. So really trying to push on and get a lap time was challenging, but we could see from the lap times that certainly the Orica, as we knew before we went to the race, was a faster proposition than the Ligier at that circuit. And our car of the Ligiers, I think, was probably struggling more than most, but it's sometimes you just got to, there's a term I know, but it's maybe a bit choice for the airwaves, but it's sometimes you just got to get on and use what you've got. So that's what we did.
Yeah. And I mean, throughout the race, I can see once we clean up the data, I've got you as running very similar number of laps as Vincent did. Sure, I would say, well, actually, if I look at the data right now, in the first stint, I can see that you were out there for a 24-lap period and averaging just under 352, a 351.9, which, at that time, I think is pretty good going.
Yeah, no, I was... I sort of started the race, and it was quite funny actually because on the night before I was staying inside the track and there was rockets and going and whatever, and I couldn't get to sleep, and your mind starts going and you think actually a lot of people have put a lot of money into this race, and in the end I didn't sleep a wink on the Friday night, and so I was starting the race with no sleep. And, you think, well, the first stint you don't want to go off. And weirdly, as, the race progresses, as you get to your last stint, you don't want to go off because you want to bring the car out. With the nature of the track, it's a fast track. It's one where... it doesn't take many prisoners. If you go off, you're probably going to damage either the car or yourself.
Yeah.
And, for that reason, the first time there, I just wanted to chip away at it and be job, which for me, I probably didn't. I was happy with my times. I didn't maybe get quite to where I wanted to get, but some of that was circumstance related. But overall, I was happy with the job I did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking again through what I've got, and in the a good way into the race, you had a 20-lap stint, and you've dropped down to a 3:51. So you've found, again, this is averages. You found an average of a second a lap there. So something's obviously working for you. Did you?
Yeah, no.
During the course of the race, did you actually manage to get any sort of cat naps or any decent sleep, or was the adrenaline running?
I was fueled on adrenaline for the first bit. After the night stint I did, I got about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then after the morning stint, I got another hour and a half. I think between 7 a.m. Friday morning and 9 p.m. Sunday night, I had about 3.5, 4 hours sleep. So come Friday, Sunday night, I was well due a good sleep. That's for sure.
Well, you weren't the only one. There's a picture doing the rounds of me when I got back to my bed. I've just collapsed.
I think it's one of those things that it's been a race I've wanted to do for so long that you get the adrenaline in your system, and I'm not sure there is a good thing or a bad thing, but at least the adrenaline helped me get through with a lack of sleep. That's for sure.
Yeah, I noticed, and yeah, my heart sort of leapt when I saw the car. I think you brought it in quite late in the race, and it was pushed back into the garage on the dollies. What was that for?
Well, it was quite funny. I'm trying to think the course of events. We had, I think it was my first stint. I was going through the Porsche curves and the engine died twice. And I radioed the team and I didn't get a response. I just thought, for where we're at, I thought I'm going to dive into the pits because I thought if this car stops as I'm going past the pits, I'm not going to hear the last of it. So I dived in the pits and we changed the ECU on the car. And then after, I think it was maybe the second stint, the ACO had called us in and to repair one of the light panels, which also turned into changing floor on the car as well. So I think I may be wrong, but I think we lost about 10 laps or so when we were doing that.
Right.
And then I think the one you said about, I think I had a message come up on one of my stints on the car. There was a number of messages coming up saying warning, but with nothing else. And one had said this other message, but I only said it once. And after my stint, I sort of fed it back. And they said, "Oh, that's the paddle shift." And anyway, I was going at the end of the lap again, and this message came up again. I thought, happy days. And then it kept coming up, and the number kept going down. And I sort of thought, the writing's on the wall with this job. So anyway, I said, right, it's going down, and I'm coming in. And literally, as I pulled into the pit road, the paddle shift stopped working. So anyway, they ended up changing, I think it was maybe the control unit for the paddle shift.
Right.
So that was the job they had on there. But other than that, the car ran well. So it was far from a perfect 24 hours, but we got to the end, and that was the main thing.
Yeah. You're clearly very sympathetic on your equipment, and that's probably down to your Howard's Group training, I should think.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I think it's always something that, throughout my racing, I've tended to be fairly good on equipment and, a good degree of mechanical sympathy, I guess, because, as you say, a bit of training and just think the way I am, it's, I tend not to be a rockhead that goes in and, tries to break the thing. So, it served well over